Jeff Nichols, I'm so very happy to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I was wondering all this time, what decided you to accept this patronage here in Morocco?
I've never been to Morocco. To be honest, I had been to the continent of Africa, and Remy and I have been friends since Critics Week when he was involved with that program. And so he's kind of been we've been exchanging emails for a really long time. And when he reached out about this, I was in a good place to be able to come and actually get my attention and my time. Sometimes when you're making films, it's just impossible. But I'm writing right now, so it was a good time for it. And it was kind of a moment in my life where I wanted to look outward to the world.
So looking outward to the world as taking a pause from what you're doing, or maybe because the era right now is drawing us to that?
I think probably both. It seems like an interesting time to learn more about this part of the world, filmmakers coming from this part of the world, and what they have to say, and what they're trying to say, which is really what the Altlas workshops are about, is that they're actively trying to form a voice for themselves, but get that voice heard out in the world. And it's always interesting for me to hear how filmmakers that are just trying to get their early projects made, just how they're going to do it. I'm kind of fascinated by that.
Yeah, because I was wondering if you were expecting anything as someone who may not have had an experience with the Arab world before. We always have expectations of things we don't know.
It's a good question. I think so. I certainly didn't know what I was in for in terms of the relationship to a lot of the projects. I tried to do my best with the information that gave me to watch all the short films that the filmmakers had made, and in the sense of development, there were 12 projects I needed to read all the scripts. I just read the descriptions and then looked at their previous work, and I have to say, I can't say I was expecting anything, but I certainly can also say once I encountered that work, I found exactly what I was hoping to find, which is an emotional approach to storytelling. I think this is how we connect universally with our stories. It's not really about plot, or it's not really about necessarily even the subject matter. It's how the stories are told, and if you can create an emotional connection between the audience and the people on the screen. And these projects seem to be doing that.
What did you learn? I know you came here to mentor, but as a mentor, what did this experience in the Altlas workshop bring you on the personal level?
I'm trying to give you an honest answer. Obviously, you're confronted with the fact that these areas face a lot of trauma. That trauma is not it's not just a personal experience. It almost seems foundational to some of these places. And I think the amount of humor is coming out of these things. Not even the projects necessarily, just the people.
It surprised you?
I don't know if surprise is the right word, because it wasn't like I was, put off by it or anything, or it's just so humanizing. It's so attractive to laugh with someone, and to meet someone that's willing to laugh, even if they're writing a project that she's talking about very serious, very dramatic issues. It seemed to be what I hoped for, put it that way, humanizing.
I spoke to some of the filmmakers before today, and 100% of the people I spoke to told me the same thing about you, which is he watched everything we made and he remembered everything. I was surprised he knew my name, or he knew what films I had made. It's very surprising because when you work, I don't want to use the word Hollywood with you.
Yeah, I don't live in Hollywood.
Yeah, and also Hollywood. Your cinema does not scream Hollywood, even though it's Hollywood. And it's surprising to most people. Maybe it's not your place to answer that, but how would you, this sense of memory of having something to say to every single person you meet and bringing attention to their work, where does that come from?
You know, I grew up in Arkansas. We didn't, in the United States, we didn't have a ton of money or anything like that. So I think on the front side of things, I feel a responsibility that this festival invested in for me and for my brother over here, put us in a beautiful hotel. You know, these projects are worth my time, and honestly, I would have given more of it had they asked. And so I felt a responsibility to understand the people I was talking to. You know, filmmaking is a really pragmatic thing. It's very practical. You take a camera out on the road, you set it up, you just pick an angle. You have to decide not just what you're going to film, but how you're going to film it. What's that going to say? And so the only way to be useful to these participants was to know something about what they've done and where they're coming from. Because some filmmakers are at different, we're all at different places in our life and what we understand and what we're good at. And so to be able to look at a short film is extraordinary, valuable, or previous work. But just from watching that, you have an immediate understanding of where this person's coming from and kind of where to meet them. Because the same advice doesn't apply to everyone necessarily. And so I just felt a responsibility. It's a privilege to get to talk to filmmakers. The one thing I learned a while back, because I've done a lot of these, not like these, not here obviously, but I've spoken to a lot of filmmakers over the last 10 years. You're always afraid you could mess them up. You never want to say anything disparaging, discouraging, but you also want to say things that are useful, that are practical, that they can actually walk away with, and it actually impacts the thing they're doing. But after a while, you realize if they're a real filmmaker, you can't knock them off track. They're going to get it done one way or another, because that's what it takes to be a filmmaker. And so that kind of puts this ease.
Yes, remove the pressure.
Yeah, and then you can really kind of get under the hood and start to talk about what it is they need to get done in order to make sure their film resonates.
Yes. You wrote every single one of your projects.
Yes.
It's from A to Z. You write and you direct. So storytelling for you, where I see it, but maybe I'm wrong, is almost like a therapy for you.
For
You
sure.
tell your own stories. Is that correct to say that it's a therapy, or because I also take shelter as a therapy?
It's therapy for somebody. The longer that I do this, I realize these projects reflect where I am in the world at the time that I make it. It's a very good thing that we're not allowed to go back and change our films. Because Jeff Nichols today wouldn't make me take shelter the same way possible. They're like time capsules that show not only what's going on in the world, but really how I'm experiencing it, how I'm feeling. Now, you can have storms in the sky, you can have laser beams shooting out of a kid's eyes, but the heart of all those stories really reflects my relationship to the world at that time. And that's my responsibility as a storyteller. And in that sense, it is therapy, because you're really thinking about where you are, what you're feeling right now, what are you scared of, what terrifies you, what makes you happy, what makes you laugh. These are the things that I try to put in the film. And you have to have a point of view, and you have to have you're constantly asking questions of yourself about where you are in position to the rest of the world. And it's what I try to do with all my stories. It's honestly what keeps them interesting. I think if they were about the other things, if they were just about plot or just about the cameras or the lighting or the actors, I think that would fade pretty quickly. When I talk about my old films, I'll get goosebumps talking about what inspired me, and that's because they were emotional. And so that's what I try to do anytime I sit down to write something.
Didn't they invite Michael Shannon with you?
Did they?
They should
I
have.
didn't hear about that.
Right?
Yeah, it's hard for me to go anywhere without him.
Don't you go guys hand in hand?
Yeah, we do. You
Yeah.
know, I think he's been in Eastern Europe for a really long time, shooting back-to-back projects. So when I get home, and I'm due to catch up with him, I'm about to finish a new script. And, yeah, I owe him a call.
And of course he's gonna be in it.
Of course. Well, he's always got to say yes. I never take it for granted. So.
I'm sure he will.
But I'm writing him apart for sure.
I'm sure you do. Thanks for bringing Michael Shannon to us anyways.
Well, yeah, he had a lot to do with that.
Yes, and thanks for coming to Morocco. It was a pleasure meeting you, Jeff
A
Nichols.
lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you.